Hi, everybody. I thought implementation week is the perfect opportunity to talk a little bit about progress. So, this is a huge, big subject in general, and I want to try to be as concise and to kind of compress time as we're talking about it while addressing the major pain points of progress, right? Because we all know that progress can sometimes feel like it's elusive. And when we're looking at the learning curve that I'm trying to create for you and for your horse in the Genuine Connections Horsewomanship program, in the Relationship Reset curriculum, it's to avoid the up and down, right? Or some people, they start out and they get momentum and then they quit, right? And then nothing, and then they start out and they gain momentum and then they quit, right? And there is never really any steady progress. When it comes to this learning curve that we see online all the time, where you go a little bit up and a little bit down and a little bit up, and you have in general an upward motion, right? That's okay from my perspective if it's for you by yourself and you are okay with the up and down and the up and down, right? As soon as we have a living being that is learning with us and from us and we're growing and prospering together, I feel that we have the responsibility to create a different type of learning curve, because every time you go up and then you go down, you make a withdrawal out of your relationship bank account. And I don't find that that is fair to the horse. And it also makes our learning curve kind of jaggedy, right? And we have a tendency to go down in the rabbit hole, and then we'll go back up, and then we'll go back in the rabbit hole. And I'm really doing my best to try and avoid that for you. Now, what tools am I using to facilitate a different learning curve? Well, first of all, I always make sure that I stress the fact that I believe in a learning curve that is a spiral, and that we're creating layers of experience upon experience to avoid and even eliminate those downward turns where we're making withdrawals out of the relationship bank account. Now, I cannot promise you that that will never happen, but what I know from the bottom of my heart, and we now have over 1,000 hours of coaching in the Genuine Connections Horsewomanship classroom, that the smaller the steps you make, the less the chance is you're making a withdrawal. Does that sometimes feel like those steps are too small? Yeah, I can totally understand that when somebody says, oh, but it's so slow. I get it. But here's the thing. The bigger your steps are, the bigger of a chance you take that it's not working, that your horse is saying no, that you're making withdrawals out of your relationship bank account, and you might get those quick highs, but you also get the lows. And when we're looking at this idea of how we humans learn, right? And that we like to get that dopamine experience of, oh, I'm doing something new and this is exciting and I can't wait to get to it tomorrow again. And then, this is not working. Maybe it's not so much fun after all, right? And then we're hunting the dopamine. And the more we're starting to hunt the dopamine, the higher the chance is that you will encounter frustration, withdrawals out of the relationship bank accounts, and that you get the up and down, and at some point you might even quit, right? So instead of constantly looking for that next high, there is a beauty in looking at, you know what? Nothing bad has happened. The things are actually steady. My horse is finding relaxation. My horse isn't shut down anymore. My horse is willing to share his or her feelings, right? Bravo! Imagine confetti blowing around. Because your horse is waking up and your horse is willing to show her inside to you. And I lately see a little bit of a tendency that we humans don't always understand the relevance for our horse and how big it is for our horse. It might not be that big for you, right? I totally get that. But if you can revel in the fact that your horse has a higher quality of life, that your horse has less or no more anxiety and stress, the more you will cherish this journey, right? The more we're hunting this elusive, but I want to, I'm going to pick, I want to go to the Olympics, right? Why am I not going to the Olympics yet, right? We're then projecting so far forward that we're living in the future. And then we're looking at, I need to see that is possible, right? I need to see that somebody else can actually go to the Olympics to show me that I can do that too. And it's not a bad idea to get inspiration, okay? That's why part of my book is to share the journey of students and what is possible, because yes, we need some inspiration, right? But be careful how attached you are to that elusive big goal and how much time you're spending to looking in the future. And is that costing you to value the now and to actually find joy in that you're having a horse that is no longer mentally, emotionally, and physically impaired because of all the residual tension that somebody else, or maybe even you, because you didn't know any better, had created. When you're looking at this chart here, right? Anybody that feels like, where is my progress? I'm going to ask you a few questions. Have you read the book? Have you done the homework in the book? Have you done the homework that I gave you? Not just once or twice, right? But have you actually committed yourself, for example, to the active space conversation and to the space conversation in general, to a point where your horse is no longer challenging you? When we're looking at these 4 action steps, right, we're starting out over here. And in general, this is for you and for your horse, and we're exploring the areas of comfort and confidence and where they overlap. And that then gives you that area where you will start your journey. For some students, if you feel highly comfortable and confident around horses, this might be more about your horse than you. But in general, what I have seen, for all the students that have gone through the program over the last few years, this is usually horse and human. And if you haven't done the homework in the book, now it's time to do it, right? If you don't just want to do it through the book, then take the opportunity and become part of the Guardians of the Horse platform, because that's where I guide you through the entire book in the sequence. Action step number 2. This is about you, okay? So here we're starting to avoid and eliminate residual tension. And we are releasing mental and emotional and physical tension. We're starting to release mental, emotional, and physical tension in you and your horse, because we're looking for where you and your horse can be relaxed, right? Relaxation means there is no brace, tension, stress, worry, anxiety, stress, fear. Okay? Here, this is how you show up, what you do, what you don't do, what you're not doing yet, and what you should be doing in order for your horse to see you as the lead. And when you're lacking progress, from my perspective, it lays somewhere here, right? And the majority lays on you, because your horse responds and reacts to what you're doing. I was just sharing something with a student today. Why do so many trainers suggest that you use a flag or you use a plastic bag at the end of the stick? Because it is easier to get a reaction out of the horse. And it is a fear reaction, because the horse doesn't like the flag, because the horse doesn't like the plastic bag. And so they're getting a reaction out of the horse, and they're making things happen. This is not a response in general. A response comes from a thoughtful process where the horse is mentally, emotionally, and physically relaxed, balanced, where your horse understands what you're talking about, and your horse is willingly responding because your horse accepts you as the lead. If your horse does not accept you as the lead yet, then you have more homework to do. And sometimes when my counselor used to say, when you're pointing the finger at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. Right? It's in general with any relationship, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your children, your friends. There are always 2 parties, right? But when we work with a horse, then we need to take that job of being the guardian serious. And so if our horse shows us in certain areas that they cannot believe in us as the lead yet, then we need to be willing to look at ourselves. And the easier it is to look at ourselves and say, oh, okay, wow, my horse didn't see me as a lead today. Okay. What happened? What did I do? How did I do it? What were my thoughts? What were my energy? What were my body language? Did my horse understand what I was asking? Was I clear? Was I consistent? Did I bring any crap from the past in the current session? Was I looking at the future? Oh my God, this is not working. I will never get to go to the Olympics. You're not here. Horses are in the now. And so I can tell you so my first interaction was with horses when I was 11. That was when my mom finally agreed that I could go to the riding school. And my pediatrician, didn't haunt my mom that it would be back for my back and my development and blah, 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 blah. So I'm 58 now, right? So that makes it 47 years that I've been interacting with horses. Do things always work for me? No. Do I make mistakes? Yes. Do I look at those mistakes and say, shoot, oh, that didn't go well today. What can I do better next time? Yes. So, for example, today, I came home early in the morning. I had 9 hours in the car. I spent several hours with a student and her horse, really complicated horse. She's been having a trainer with positive reinforcement coming out for 2.5 years, up to 2 times a week, and she still cannot touch the horse without feeding oodles of treats. And so terrible traffic, long story short, right? So I came home early in the morning with my new volunteer, yay. And this morning I walked out and I didn't see Jojo. Now Jojo has sometimes a tendency when all the horses come up front that she goes like to the hay box that is in the furthest back, because that's usually the one that's the fullest, and she just calmly eats with nobody around, right? And so I wasn't worried about that, and we had to go shopping, and I came back and I walked back and Jojo was gone. And my neighbor had pulled down a bunch of fencing between my and his property, and somehow she got out somewhere between yesterday when I was not home and today. And so my neighbor found her in the southeast corner, the furthest away from my property on 20 acres. That is a property that has holes. That is a property that has a deep wash. That is a property that has sinkholes. That is a property that has a huge channel that my neighbor has cut into it. And he just, he's like a 50-year-old with interstate size backhoes and all kinds of machines, and he just goes digging. And so there she was, right? She's been here a month. What is my progress? My progress is that her head is most of the time level with her withers now. And that when her head goes up, that most of the time she looks more engaged than alert. When she does trot, she now finds a fair amount of relaxation at a trot. Can I put a halter on her? Have I tried? No. Can I pick up her feet? No. Because I can't halter her. Can I, put a lead on her? And can I lead her with a halter and lead rope? No. Will she follow me a lot of times? Yes. Can I lead from behind? Most of the time. Is she willing to allow me to touch her? No. Will she come and touch me? Yes. So now she's on 20 acres with holes in the channel and the wash and old barbed wire fencing and a neighbor that I will not talk to. So what did I do? I walked over there and I had a handful of oats, not a bucket or anything like that. And I thought, okay, I believe that she will come with me home. Not a bunch of people going over there and driving her home, just me. So I walked all the way in the southeast corner, and she was there. And what she had found was another herd. I didn't even know that I have a neighbor over there that her horses were back there. And she saw me and she came about halfway to me, and then she looked at me and then she's like, no, I don't think so. And then she started to trot around me. Okay. And she would go back to the corner and to the herd. And I would invite her to come to me, and she would come like halfway and she would trot around me and she would go back to the herd. And then she would trotted around me, and then she went down into the wash and went into the neighbor's property. And I followed her, and after a while she stopped And I asked her to go the other direction and come back, and she did. And so I stood there and I thought, okay, what is available to me? Not so much, right? Because there are 20 acres, there are sinkholes, there are holes, there's a channel, there's a wash, there's, laying down barbed wire fence, kind of tricky situation. And the last thing that I wanted was, corner her and wrestle halter her on anything like that. So I had a space conversation. And I said, the corner here is mine. So suddenly her desire to be with those other horses, she couldn't fulfill that desire anymore. And therefore, the value of the place that she was at suddenly was less. Now, I didn't take anything away from her. I didn't chase her around. I didn't make her run or anything like that. I just said, this is my space. And she looked at me and she's like, oh, I get it. Okay, not my space. And then I thought about the spot between where we were, not just the spot, but the area between where we were at the end of the 20 acres, right, and my property on the other side. And I saw the opening in the fence going down into the ditch, coming out to the other side. I would have not been able to find the way back to my property without, oh shit, there's a hole. Where do I go now? Oh shoot, there is a fence. I don't know how to get there. Oh, there is brush everywhere. I don't want to step into it because of the snakes kind of stuff, right? So I know that Jojo knows this property better than I do, and that she, as a prey animal, has more experience and a better capabilities than I do, right? So in my mind, I just asked her to go home. And she did. And while she did that, I watched where she went with, tree left, right, post left, right, oh, down in the ditch. Okay, I can see her tracks. And so she went home, and then Eddie opened the fence, but she's like, oh, no. I think I wanna go back over there. And I'm like, how about you just follow me? Now that we're home, how about you just follow me? And she followed me in the trail system. Now, why am I telling you the story? Because I looked for what is available to me and what's not available yet. And your progress will come from looking at what is currently available and building on that. Now, there are a couple things, right? You can, first of all, you have the book and you have the graph, and this guides you always. It will always guide you, right? You need rhythm, you need relaxation, you gain interconnection. You take inventory, you adjust as necessary so that you can become the guardian. You have 4 areas of where you can become the guardian, right? You have 5 areas here, again, where we're looking at the hierarchy that we currently have, and 4 other areas where we need to overlap. And when we have a clear understanding where we're at and what we need to do, right, which all of you have been in the program for a while, then you understand very clearly what you need to do in the Happy Horse Inventory. And once you have this, then you can build here, right? And the book literally gives you all the steps. And it's not like the master class has not given you the steps. But I feel between having the book now and having a little bit of a different setup and sequence in the Guardians of the Horse platform and material, it's even easier to do it. And the students that have the most success, right? I'll tell you a little bit about the students that have the most success. They're willing to make small steps and they don't mind the small steps. They're willing to look at themselves and work on themselves and understand that the self-development is the biggest part that will bring you the highest reward. They go consistently with small steps. There's the consistency and the clarity is there. If the clarity isn't there, they come back and send in a video and they ask for more clarity. They have a very clear plan, right? The 90-day plan, set and achieve your goals plan. And that might even include a homemade spreadsheet. When I'm done with, there will be a planner, a accompanying quarterly planner with a book. You will get these printouts and spreadsheets where it will be easier for you. But when you show up for the 90-day set and achieve your goals sessions, that will also give you the process. And if you're unclear, you can always come to the meeting and say, hey, you know, this doesn't make any sense or this isn't working and I need some advice, right? But what gets tricky is when you're looking for advice, that is the Olympics, right? How do I get to the Olympics? Then you will start to look in this direction and you will not be here anymore. The students that have the highest success rate and they make the steady progress are the ones that are very much in the now, and they understand that looking in the past and looking too far in the future keeps them from being here. And the students that have the highest success rate and the most steady growth are the ones that understand that tools are not what will help you to get that progress. It's going back to ourselves and looking at what we need to change. Whenever a student is willing to change how they show up, that's when the biggest growth happens. And to me, this is where, instead of getting frustrated and looking what's lacking and what's not working yet, finding the wonder and the excitement and the sheer magic, how our brain works, what we do, what we don't do yet, will help you to enjoy the journey. And the students that make the most amount of progress are the ones that are enjoying the journey. If you're looking at the end product and you're asking yourself, why am I not there yet and will I ever get there? You're not enjoying the journey. And your horse will know that. Your horse will feel that energy, and it creates disconnection. And it creates an unnecessary interruption and a limited growth and progress. So this is a self-development program. And go back. If you want to print out the book, feel free to print out the book. I've gone online on the bookpatch.com. It's as cheap as $13. I paid a lot of money at FedEx for Makinko to have this printed because I needed, because of technical challenges, I needed to use their computer and they weren't very cooperative. But if you want to print it out, print it out. I'm still working on it. There's still some edits to be done. There were still some things we will need to be added on. And that's why I'm saying, you know, go online and use the online version right now. But if you're like me and you like to have something in your hand and you want to spend $13-something, I looked it up the other day on the bookpatch.com, that can be made available. But then again, in September, it will come into print anyway. So between this, between showing up and bringing your videos, between actually doing your homework, right? And fine-tuning your homework. I know that a lot of you guys are working with the active space conversation. That is a tricky process. But when you get it right, you're making such a huge deposit in your relationship bank account that a lot of the things that you think you cannot achieve will just simply fall in place. And that's why it's worth it to stick with it. And it's worth it to stick with it because you have to show up as the lead in the active space conversation. If you're not showing up as the lead, it will not work. There is also a list that I created in July and that I had posted in the Relationship Restart group. I will go ahead and make that link available again. It's a Google Doc, and you can kind of get a one-page summary of what's in the book, and you can kind of have a little look at that. If you're currently in the Happy Horse inventory, if you are currently in the part of the Happy Horse inventory, there are some things that you can overlay, right? Like the interconnected habituation. In the book, and by the way, in the masterclass, you can see that interconnected habituation overlaps. There is also the opportunity to overlap the saddling one-on-one. There's also potentially, depending on where you're at, the opportunity to put some trailer prep in there, right? So there are options that you can layer different experiences over the Happy Horse inventory. That is available in the mentorship. That's not available for anybody that is just a member in the Guardians of the Horse community, simply because that is something that we need to have a clear plan that I'll sign off, so to speak, on, so that you don't do things where you make withdrawals. And we're going back to layering experiences. Right? So I know this is a longer video. I wanted to keep it shorter. It's late for me. And my brain is not like super organized anymore. But at the same time, I wanted to get it out and I wanted to make it available to you. So thank you for hanging out with me for the last 30 minutes. I appreciate all of you. I want to support you in a way where you are successful, where your horse is successful, and in a way where it is the best for you and your horse. And believe in me and in the program that it is absolutely possible when you acknowledge that you have to walk the walk and do the talk and take the action along with my support. And I'm always here, so please feel free to reach out if you have any questions in regard to the program, what you can layer, what you should be working on, clarification, etc., is always available to you via Voxer and during the group meetings. And it's a process and it's a journey. And when you find the beauty and the magic and the wonder in it, and you actually enjoy the journey, a lot of the things will just miraculously change, because your intent, your energy, and your body language will change along with it. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for continuing to show up. It is a marvelous journey to grow together with our horses. And something that you want to keep in mind is that everybody that is here in the group has horses that are not easy, that are fairly difficult to extremely difficult, and that you've already tried other strategies that have not worked, and that you are in the right place if you believe that safety, confidence, and empowerment are your goals. And that you know that shortcuts are just that, shortcuts that do not give lasting results. And we're after the lasting results. And at some point, there is exponential growth. And I continuously see that students are not always aware of that exponential growth because of the difficulty in valuing the progress that you have facilitated for your horse, not necessarily for yourself and for the tasks and for the goals that you're looking at, but you have created the foundation of releasing residual tension and helping your horse to become mentally, emotionally, and physically balanced, and to provide a better quality of life for your horse. And for doing that, I thank everybody here in the group. As always, lots of love, and I'll see you next week. Bye now.